Hello everyone, this is Razren, and welcome to Let's Play Fire Emblem 7. Now, you may be asking yourself, 1. Why am I playing Fire Emblem 7 and not starting with Fire Emblem 1? Well, because Fire Emblem 7 is actually the first game that was ever released of the Fire Emblem series out in America. So most people from here that know of the Fire Emblem series, this was more than likely their first game that they played. So naturally, I'd rather want to start with what many would consider their first Fire Emblem game. This was my first Fire Emblem game, so why not start here? Now, I will admit to you all right off the bat, I usually do not do Let's Plays by myself. If anyone happens to have come here from my personal channel, ArcsHSaleth, they will know I almost always do Let's Plays with other people. Well, Fire Emblem is a series that kind of only I like of a lot of people that I know, so it's a game that is better for me to do by myself. So I'm going to attempt to do this, and if it isn't the greatest, please try to bear with me and leave comments on ways that I can improve. Now, with all that being said and done, how about we get things started? You'll, of course, notice that I already have data and stuff. Now, the thing that's rather interesting about Fire Emblem 7, which is actually one of the things that they decided to do to import it to America, is that they added a third main character to this game. There was originally only the other two, Hector and Elwood. However, they decided that they wanted this to be the first game to go over to America, so they added Lyn, whose chapters act as a tutorial, at least on normal mode. On hard mode, it gets rid of the tutorials. I also apologize if I drown on about nerdy stuff about the series. I have been with this series for a long while, so I know a lot of the ins and outs, so I will be very nerdy about a lot of things. Now, I'm going to play Lyn's chapters, at least, on hard mode, because I don't want you to have to sit through all of the tutorial text that makes the chapters take a hell of a lot longer. So, we will get things started with Prologue, A Girl from the Plains. Now, another interesting thing about this game is that you can create a tactician, which basically acts as you. So, since I don't care about it, I'm just going to put my actual name, which is Alex for anyone that cares, and my actual birth month, which is December. Gives me a little lightning bolt symbol, which all the elemental affinity does for your tactician. I don't know for sure, but I think it changes some things with character growths and stuff. But don't quote me on that. That's the one thing I was never entirely clear on. All I know is that your gender affects how people react around you. Now, I am going to personally choose, at least right now, to not read the text out loud. I'm simply going to react to it. If enough people want me to read the text, I will read the text. But I know that some people find that annoying, so I'd rather not off-put a lot of people, because I've noticed that that's a common trend when it comes to watching Let's Plays and stuff. Anyway, here's Lyn. She apparently found us. No, I can't remember my name. I'm pretty sure I'm Marty McFly. Yeah, well, you got a non-sounding name yourself, honey. Better be a good name. Indeed I am, and I'd like to get back to my traveling. because talking to you is quite honestly one of the most boring things that I can be doing right now. So, if you would kindly just let me leave. Oh no, there was a noise. Sorry if the text is going by a little too slow. I'll try to keep it at a steady pace. Oh no, bandits! They come down from the mountains to pillage everything. My one cot. I mean, I have to ask, like, you know, how many local villages are here, and how does she really... I mean, I guess there's only 2 of them. So, I mean, in actuality, it's kind of, you know, not that big of a deal for her to take them on herself. But still, you know, even when you think about that, only 2 bandits, does that really constitute, you know, an attacking force to raid the local villages? I mean, they must be pretty tough men if only 2 of them can take on a whole village, because I have to assume some of the villagers at least have some type of makeshift weaponry that they can use to take care of these guys. Oh yeah, by the way, I'll be your tactician, don't worry about that. Now, Fire Emblem, for those of you who have actually never heard of the series, it is a strategy RPG, which means that you move your units around on a little map, and you fight the enemies to try to defeat all of them, or do whatever objective the particular map has. Now, here's Lynn, who will be our main character for the first little bit of the game. Now, in Fire Emblem, unfortunately this part's going to be a lot of explaining, so I apologize again, but Fire Emblem, you have classes, you have stats and stuff. Strength that helps determine how much attack you have, skill determines your hit ratio, speed can determine whether you attack once or twice, luck affects your crit rate and how resilient you are to crits, defense obviously nullifies some of the attack damage, and resistance nullifies attack damage for spells. HP is pretty obvious. You know, if anyone's ever played any RPG whatsoever, they know that when your HP reaches 0, you die. And in Fire Emblem, in every game but one, which is the newest one, Awakening, if a unit dies, they are dead for good. In Awakening, you can choose to play a mode of the game that makes it so they're only dead for the map. But every other game, if a unit dies, unless they're plot important, they die for the rest of the game. Now, if your main character dies, obviously you get a game over. There are certain characters that if they die, they only retreat, which are the ones that are essential to the story. Now, another thing about Fire Emblem is that each of your weapons have a certain amount of uses. As you saw, my Iron Sword has 46 uses out of 46. So obviously every time you attack, the number will go down until eventually it breaks. Depending on the game, this may or may not be an issue. For Fire Emblem 7, it's a little bit more of an issue because there are only certain times that you can buy new weapons, so it's kind of crucial to try to keep your weapons intact when you can. But especially in Fire Emblem 8, you can buy stuff from the world map, so it's really a non-issue. The Vulnerary heals 10 HP. So, that's nice to know. Anyway, these first chapters with Lynn are really that... I probably shouldn't have attacked him now that I think about it, but let's just hope that luck decides to be nice to Alex today, otherwise I'll have to cut, which would be really bad to do on the first video. Lynn, I swear, please do not get hit again. Otherwise it'll just make me look like a chub. A chub. Okay, good. So, yeah, as you can tell, this game isn't particularly too hard, at least in my opinion. You'll see me kind of breeze through a lot of these beginning chapters. Things don't really get interesting in Lynn's story. It gets more interesting once you go to Elwood and Hector's. But I'll be able to talk more about those once we actually get to the point where I can start them. Oh, whoops. I forgot to seize the gate, which is what I'm supposed to do. We did it! I want to know what all those tents over there are for, though. Because, like, I would assume that must be the bandits set them up, maybe? Because, I mean, that's really the only logical thing that I could see there. But if they had all those tents set up, then I think that'd be tents set up for more than just 2 people. What do you want to talk about, Lynn? Indeed I do. Some may call me the master of strategists. I'm the one that plays all the strategy RPGs, so I would hope so. Yeah, that's right. You're young. Go get permission from your parents. I ain't carrying around a little girl around with me. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. On my own personal channel, I'm not exactly that strict with, like, you know, what words I say and stuff, so I just let loose with whatever I'm thinking about at the time. But for this particular channel, since it's associated with RPS, I'm going to try to limit my language and stuff, so that way I don't, you know, cause problems in that sort of regard. Anyway, apparently Lynn's family here was killed by a bunch of bandits. So, see, it's funny, because she's like, I'm so young and stuff, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, of course, but I'm pretty sure in the Japanese version of the game, she's 16, and in this version of the game, she's 18, I want to say. So she's, I mean, at least by American standards, not a kid anymore, so I don't know. Hopefully someone can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Now, one thing I've particularly noticed in the Fire Emblem community, at least, in terms of, you know, Lynn as a character and stuff, and, you know, you guys are going to notice that I'll dissect characters a lot as I go through this story, but everyone hates Lynn for really no reason other than the fact that they feel that she doesn't contribute to the story, which, really, what are you expecting? She was added as a tutorial for Western audiences because they thought this game would be too hard. Well, it was more that they didn't want to add a tutorial in the middle of the series, so they just decided to kind of put this as like, oh, here's the first game in the West, so we're gonna add a tutorial. Which is kind of weird, because then they did the same thing with Fire Emblem 9, Path of Radiance. That also has a tutorial section, so I don't know. The Fire Emblem makers are weird in that regard. You'll be my master strategist, and I'll be your peerless warrior. Yeah, that's right, we can do it, Lynn. You and me, only you and me. We can take down anybody. Anyway, let's see here. You know what? I think I'll just leave it at that, make it a chapter per video, just to make things move along smoothly. These first videos will be short then, but as we go along, it'll get longer and longer. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope my drownings weren't too boring for you to listen to. Hopefully you'll join me next time for Chapter 1, Sword of Fate. See you guys next time.